was like, what's happening? We hadn't started recording yet. Okay, awesome. So if you're joining from Facebook, you've heard this spiel, so I apologize. We're all here today to talk about stall catchers and the results of the International Catch-a-thon of Citizen Science Month. So Citizen Science Month is our general excuse to party it up citizen science style and do a ton of events. So if you are a part of any of those events, or you would like to be a part of those events in the future, you're a project leader, whatnot, stall catchers is a good example for what can happen, what can be done, and how we can share the news of awesome work done by citizen scientists, and also to know what that work really does. So all good things, and we'll get started in a couple moments here. I'm just gonna, oh yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So you know what we're talking about, but I'm gonna do some quick introductions first. We have 2 Pietros online. Was that intentional? Hopefully. Awesome. Okay, so my name is Emma Giles. I'm here usually hosting this program along with my colleagues Roland and Trevor. I'm a program coordinator for SciStarter and an Arizona State University graduate student about to graduate in a couple days, so very excited for that. Yeah, and so I'm here to host the show. And Roland, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Co-hosting the live show as usual. I'll be posting the links during this event.
Awesome. And Trevor, who is normally here, is not here today, but if you ever catch his face in other events, then you'll see his face and can say hi. We will introduce our guests momentarily, but just to get us started off on the idea that you're in a webinar, you have access to both a chat and a Q&A. So if you have questions about citizen science, about the project Stall Catchers or Citizen Science Month, or anything related to the program, you can drop them in the Q&A because that'll help us answer them for everyone. If you have commentary about certain things or just want to start the conversation or answer a question we say, you can drop that in the chat. If you need help with anything, you can send a message to Roland and he'll help you out with the technical issues. And just to make sure we know how to use the chat, we would like to know who we're talking to. So if you'd like to send a shout out in the chat of where you're zooming from, just make sure that you tap the everyone button so you're talking to everyone who's present. So in this case, that would be, hi, I'm Emma, zooming from Phoenix, Arizona. And that would go in the chat. And I'll double check that that's to everyone. Yep, you should be going to everyone. And we have quite a few guests today, actually. So Pietro, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we have 2 more that I'll have introduce themselves as well.
Okay, thanks a lot, Emma, and congratulations on your upcoming graduation. That's very cool. It's really a pleasure to be here for this live event because, in part, the Stall Catchers project has kind of co-evolved with the relationship between SciStarter and my institute, the Human Computation Institute. Darlene and SciStarter was part of Stall Catchers from the very beginning, and we've kind of grown together. So it's always just really gratifying to also connect with the team and you all. So thanks for having me. So I do lead the Human Computation Institute. We've been developing citizen science projects since about 2014. Stall Catchers is definitely our biggest and most popular project, and it's also given us a basis and experience for starting to develop some new projects, and I might mention some of those in a little bit. But anyway, thanks again for having me, and I think some of my colleagues might be on here as well.
We'd love to hear from you if you'd like to introduce yourself. Don't mind the lack of screen share. That'll be back up in a second here.
Hi, my name is Maggie. I work with Pietro at the Human Computation Institute. Technically I'm his executive assistant, so I kind of keep a bird's eye view on everything that the Institute is involved in. But yeah, thank you for having us.
Hi, I'm Paz. I don't know why I'm named as Pietro. I will change that. But my name is Paz Santander. I'm from Chile, and I'm outreach coordinator at the Human Computation Institute. So I work with Pietro and with Maggie.
I'm happy to have you all here. I'm excited to see more of the team too. We haven't had more of you on the line before, so I'm excited. Get to hear more from more than what we would hear from only one perspective. So that's awesome. We do have a couple questions before we get moving, just to see who we're talking to. So if you are a guest in our audience, and if you're on Facebook, you're more than welcome to answer in the comment. The Facebook stream is back on. We would like to know if you've ever participated in a citizen science project before. So any citizen science project, doesn't have to be stall catchers, can be a NASA project. It could be, my mind is blanking on projects right now. The Great Sunflower Project, any of our affiliate projects that are quite great. It looks like at least one of you are have done citizen science before, so that's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, we'll keep moving then. And then we would also like to know if you've ever participated in a SciStarter live event. So are you a returner to this conversation on a weekly basis, or are you a new? Returner, yes. I bet that's Shirley. Thanks, Shirley. Awesome. All right. And then lastly, we want to know what type of individuals we're talking to. So are you a citizen scientist already? Are you a student? Are you a parent, a teacher, educator, troop leader, librarian, etc.? And I think mine disappeared, but maybe, oh, there it is. All right. I got citizen scientists on the line. I love it. No affiliation needed. Cool. All right, so moving forward, we'll just talk a little bit about the basics of citizen science for anyone who is looking at this later too, to understand what we're talking about. So by definition, under SciStarter's idea is that a collaboration is happening during citizen science. So we have a collaboration between scientists and those of us who are curious and concerned and motivated to make a difference. It's how people can make an impact on issues they care about and help science. So all that we do as citizen scientists are things that actually further real research and create real impact. So that's the beauty of citizen science. And you might have heard other terms for it, like community science or neighborhood science. It kind of just depends on where you are and who you're talking to. If you are an aspiring citizen scientist, the number one thing is to join SciStarter, because we are kind of a database of everything. So if you're looking for assistance on taking the next step or getting involved, they're a really easy organization to jump into and take advantage of. And during Citizen Science Month, we push this a whole ton with all kinds of new people. So we're hoping we have a lot more to join us and join the community. In addition to just joining SciStarter, we also have training. So if you're looking for a boost of confidence in any of these projects, the Foundations of Citizen Science training is super duper helpful. And if you're looking to, after doing maybe one thing during Citizen Science Month where you saw something happening, being able to come back and just learn some more through SciStarter.org and do the trainings based on specialties. So if you are interested in data literacy or library specific things or higher education, we have those to support you. So we're excited to make sure you have access to that. Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about stall catchers, which is awesome. And we're going to talk about how Citizen Science Month went. That was our hashtag we used. So if you go onto Twitter or something, you can search this one and just see how many times it was used. All good things. And just to give you a good breakdown of what exactly stall catchers is, and then I'll turn it over to Pietro. But this is an online game. I like to call it like the video game that allows you to really fight the crime that is disease. And so if you're talking to anyone about stall catchers, just know that it really is easy to participate. It's a video game-esque style project where you can just do a simple task and you're really helping speed up Alzheimer's disease. So really incredible work. And it's out of Cornell University. So I will go ahead and stop my share so we can turn it over to Pietro so he can give a much better explanation as to what we'll be talking about.
Okay, thanks, Emma. I'll go ahead and share my screen then. Okay. That's not the screen I was thinking I was sharing. Can you see this one?
It just says, oh yeah, International Catch-a-thon Citizen Science Month 2023.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, we're, if you saw the hats, we're preparing for the upcoming conference in Arizona, and we understand there's going to be a lot of solar radiation, so we're trying to make sure we're ready for that. So you're exactly right. The Stall Catchers project is about advancing Alzheimer's disease research, and we're working with biomedical scientists at Cornell University, who are looking at a particular angle on Alzheimer's disease related to brain blood flow. And in particular, their research has shown that this phenomenon where we observe in Alzheimer's patients reduced brain blood flow about 30% less than in healthy people, that it seems to be that they're trying to understand what's causing that reduction, and it seems to be at the capillary level. So the very smallest blood vessels in the brain, the capillaries seem to be getting stuck or clogged. And when they restore blood flow by releasing these clogs in the capillaries through introducing drugs, this is using mouse models of the disease. Once those clogs go away, then there's a full restoration of brain blood flow, and the mice seem to be getting their memories back. So these are mice that have been given the human form of Alzheimer's disease and manifest all the symptoms. So it's kind of an exciting finding that if you can unclog these little tiny blood vessels, that the cognitive symptoms start to go away. The problem is that the way that they're unclogging them is by introducing a drug that would be harmful long-term to the mice. And if that were eventually used as some form of treatment for humans, would be harmful to humans too. So the goal of the research is, how do we find some kind of a drug that releases these stalled capillaries and keeps the blood flowing through the brain, that is not harmful to mice or humans. We'll get into the mechanics of the game in a minute, but I think we're here to sort of celebrate the accomplishments of Citizen Science Month. And just as a retrospective, we conducted our first international catch-a-thon apparently 6 years ago, which is kind of crazy to think about. And you can see here that we had global engagement to kind of kick off this idea of an international event where you had people all over the world participating at the same time. We borrowed this idea that a teacher used to get her students to play stall catchers of bringing pizza into the classroom. So we sent pizza all over the world. We actually didn't deliver pizza all over the world, but we had it delivered all over the world locally in the interest of freshness. And you can see the pizzas up here. We had a 200 pizza count. And so people all came together, across geographic, bounds and ideological boundaries and political boundaries as a species to combat this disease that does not discriminate among humans. And we accomplished a lot of research, and it was such an amazing experience in so many ways, in terms of people cooperating, in terms of accelerating the research and analyzing data, that we've done it annually since then. I think we missed 1 year, probably a COVID related kind of thing, but this year we brought it back. These are some pictures from the first year we did it, so you can see people from Australia, from Lithuania, from Uganda, from Chile. In fact, the Chilean team won, and the captain of the Chilean team actually is the one who introduced me to Paz, who is now a member of our team here. The big world becomes small when you engage in events like this. And so what makes stall catchers possible, and I think a lot of citizen science projects possible, is this notion of wisdom of crowds, because folks are coming in who don't have a background or experience in a particular area of science, and yet we're asking you to do science, and we're going to use your results as the final research results. So how can we possibly do that and trust that the data that comes out of a citizen science project is going to be solid? So we create what we call these wisdom of crowd methods, or algorithms, that take many answers from different people about the same question and combine them in a sensible way, so that on the average, we're hitting very high accuracy levels. And so in stall catchers, where you're asked to look at a blood vessel and make a decision about whether blood is flowing through it or not, we'll ask 5 different people about the same blood vessel. So the one time that you give a wrong answer, many other people are giving a correct answer, and we figured out really good ways of extracting the best answer from the group of people who are working together on that. When we began stall catchers, we were using a simple kind of averaging method to combine answers. So if you had, kind of like think of it as a voting method. So if you had 10 people answering about a blood vessel and 7 of those people said it was a flowing vessel and 3 people said it was stalled, we'd say, well, the flowing people won because they voted 7 times. And it turned out using that method, we had to ask 20 different people about the same vessel. And that doesn't seem very efficient. So we improved our methods. We started to kind of keep track of how people were answering under different circumstances, and we employed some different strategies, and we were able to actually reduce the number of people we have to ask for each blood vessel, so that today it's about 4.5 people per blood vessel, which is, as you can see, about a 5 times improvement. And that translates directly into analyzing the data 5 times faster. And of course, the faster we can analyze the data, the quicker we get research results. So just to give a greater intuition about this, if you imagine that any given person who plays stall catchers, or an average stall catchers player, might be right 70% of the time. That's like getting a C, right? In school, it's like a 70% grade. That's totally fine. And that's helpful to the research because we can extract the goodness from that. And you compare that to, say, an expert who analyzes the data and gets it right 90% of the time. But then when we combine the answers from, say, 5 different people who are giving 70% correct answers, we can consistently get 99% accuracy, like 95% of the time. So that's kind of the magic. It feels like magic. Even when we know how it works, it still feels magical that we can get such great results from the crowd. So when we began the stall catchers project, there was this question of, do we even need a citizen science project for this? Do we have to crowdsource this analysis? Why not just use machine learning to do it? And apparently the Cornell lab had tried to use machine learning, and they were able to achieve about 85% accuracy. But unfortunately, their research required 99% accuracy. So with stall catchers, we were able to hit that mark. And then over a period of 4.5 years, we accumulated about 10 million crowd-based annotations. And we said, let's go back and see if we can teach a machine to do this better, because we don't want to ask people to do this work if we could get a machine to do it. And what we discovered is that once we trained machines, there was this machine learning competition. There were like 900 different machine learning experts who participated. And the winning machine learning models were hitting like 92 or 93%, which is, of course, much better than the original machine learning model, which was only 85%. But it still wasn't quite good enough. So then we thought, well, so much work was put into coming up with these new models. Is there some way we could still use them? And then we thought about how we have humans working together that are getting them about 70% right. So what if we introduced some of these machine learning models as bots that were like part of the crowd, participating in stall catchers, just like the human players? And when we looked at the bots, we saw that there's the same kind of diversity in how the different machine learning models were answering, just like the diversity we see in humans. And we rely on that diversity for the wisdom of crowds to work. If everybody always answered the same way, then when one person got it wrong, everyone would get it wrong and it wouldn't work anymore. So this gave us kind of a basis and confidence for trying out this new approach where we had not just wisdom of crowds, but what we call wisdom of agents, where an agent could be a human or a bot. And so we ran a study where we had bots in the mix, and we looked at the human performance, the human only performance, the bot only performance, and then when humans and bots were working together. And you can see that it was when the humans and the bots were working together that we actually got the best result, which was kind of cool and makes sense if you think about that. Bots and humans probably think very differently than each other. So you even get more of that wonderful diversity that helps the wisdom of crowds approach. So anyway, part of the reason I mentioned this CrowdBot study is that in this recent catch-a-thon that we ran, we were reanalyzing the same data set because we want to make absolutely sure there were some kind of interesting aspects of the data set that we didn't understand. So by reanalyzing it, we can get an even stronger sense of how the humans performed on the data, and we can compare that to the bot performance. Because before we unleash bots with humans on brand new data, we want to be rock solid that the data quality is going to be good enough. So so just quickly to kind of mention some of the research results that have come out of stall catchers. We've asked a lot of different research questions, all about trying to better understand this mechanism of capillary stalling and how it impacts brain function in Alzheimer's disease, and how it impacts the evolution of the disease toward finding a treatment that could alleviate the capillary stalling. And several research articles based on this work have been published in top-tier journals, and we acknowledge the stall catchers contributors on the author lines whenever these journals will let us do that. And if they allow us, we hyperlink it to a list of all the stall catchers players who contributed directly to answering that research question. So, anyone who participated in stall catchers when the data set for this paper, was live on the platform, they can go and click on this link and see their name there. Many scientists spend entire careers trying to get published in journals like these, so it's kind of cool that citizen scientists can get acknowledged in this context. So we've also asked questions that are related to the capillary stalling, like what about a high-fat diet? What are the implications for the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease related to capillary stalling? And one of the things we found, it's what we would call a negative result, in that we noticed that with a high-fat diet, there was no increase in capillary stalling, but there was an increase in Alzheimer's symptoms. So that shows us that the symptoms are coming from more than one place, and that having a healthy diet would be helpful to someone with Alzheimer's disease, with or without capillary stalling. Another kind of cool thing that came out of stall catchers is we maintain a pretty close dialogue with our community. If you're a member of our community, hopefully that's been your experience. And we had a member of our community say, hey, has anyone ever looked at the impacts of exercise on capillary stalling? And we took that question back to the Schaefer Nishimura lab at Cornell, and they said, no, we've never looked at that, and we have a student who wants to look at it. So thanks for that idea. And then they did it. They ran the study and then published the result, which is very similar actually to the high-fat diet result. Exercise does help with symptoms. It is a good idea to exercise, but it doesn't reduce capillary stalling. Ultimately, each question that's going into stall catchers is toward fleshing out this model of how the disease works in the brain with regard to capillary stalling, and what the upstream and downstream molecular mechanisms are that are related to stalling, which translates basically into how do we disrupt the things that are going on that cause stalls to happen in the first place to prevent the stalls. And once the stalls occur, what are the things we can do downstream? In other words, after the stalls are already there, to make those stalls go away. And each green check mark here represents a data set that's been analyzed in stall catchers to get us closer to that. And we are getting closer, and we are seeing that there are some drugs that seem promising for reducing stalls. And some of them are actually already FDA-approved drugs for other diseases, which means that if it looked like they were sufficiently promising to reduce stalling, then the pharmaceutical pipeline would be kind of shorter or accelerated for bringing something like that to market. So this work, the work that you all are doing when you play stall catchers is translating not just into some like hypothetical theoretical research, but something that could actually make a difference in the world for Alzheimer's patients. And for us, that's really important at the Human Computation Institute, because we're very impact oriented, and it's important to me to convey that to all of you, that we care about that, and we want to make sure that your efforts make a difference. So just getting back to the accomplishment for this recent data set. So this is kind of showing the distribution of catchers around the world who contributed in the most recent catchathon. And here we list 18 countries. I think there were probably more than that, but these are the ones that we were aware of at the time that we created this. And so it's always just so exciting to see people from so many, different cultures and countries and locations participating in this, and to be part of that. And we ran the catchathon for 1 week. There were 33 teams who participated, and 91 catchers on 5 continents in 18 countries. And we accomplished the equivalent of almost 3 months of lab equivalent analysis in just a week. And we got through, I think, at least 1.5 passes on that structural mapping data set that we were using with the CrowdBots. So something that normally would have taken us even a couple months on, or at least a month on stall catchers to analyze, with the catchathon and everyone around the world working on it, we got done in about a week. So that's a really exciting result, and just another big win for citizen science, I think. I don't know, I had a little fun playing with an online tool just to show which countries were involved in this particular catchathon. The ones that we know about, I think there are more than the ones being shown here. So anyway, that's it. We can now, Em, I'll just send it back to you, and we can move on to, maybe trying out stall catchers and getting people signed in if they want to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind if I ask a couple questions, or anyone who is online with us, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A. I'll keep an eye out for that. But I did have 2 questions that I, a little bit selfishly on one end, because I have some libraries in Arizona who were looking forward to spending some time indoors doing programs with teens who are stuck inside because it's already 90-some degrees out here in Arizona. So to avoid that, I talked to a bunch of libraries about how hopefully doing like a mini catchathon where they could do a day with a couple of hours where people could walk through and play the game. So I'm curious if you have any advice for planning one of those, or anything that you think is necessary to know before you endeavor to plan an event like that to help out.
Yeah, I mean, I love the question. I think stall catchers is kind of like, pick up soccer, pick up football. You don't really need to do a lot of planning around it. I think if you have a group of people maybe who have never played stall catchers before, you just everyone needs to have a reasonable internet connection. It doesn't have to be like high bandwidth, and a device, a laptop or a tablet. It's a little harder on a phone, but some people do it on a phone. We ran a competition at a gaming convention, and people just had phones. It got very competitive, so people would borrow their friends' phones. They had 5 phones. They were playing on the same account from 5 phones at the same time to like get lots of points. But anyway, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I think that person actually won. Yeah, people get very, very competitive. The fun thing is, if you wanted to run something, you can create your own team. Anyone can create a team on stall catchers, and then everyone registers and joins the same team. And then like you're still participating on the main leaderboard, but you have your own kind of private team leaderboard. So, if you wanted to do it for like some kind of like a birthday party event, like, hey, let's do something fun together and help the world. You can create a team for it. And then, and like, we're always excited when people want to do stuff. So if somebody wanted to like have a stall catchers party or meetup, tell us. And like, we can even create an online challenge with a live leaderboard. And live leaderboards are cool. It's like not the regular interface. It's like you get a separate URL with its own screen, and you can see on the leaderboard, like people moving around and different points going up and down, and like the amount of research you're accomplishing and how much time is left. So you could do like a timed event, like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. But
That's awesome.
yeah,
I will definitely reach out about that. If I can have the libraries do that, I think that'd be really cool to be able to show that off in one of their bigger screens showing off at their computer lab area.
yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, I will be back in touch about that then. For anyone who's watching this later, I'm not sure if I saw anyone in here who might be a project leader, but I'm curious if you have any advice for people who are running citizen science projects and making sure to get the right impact, or what do you think are the most important parts about making the most impact and being a successful citizen science project?
Yeah, that's a good
Big
question. Yeah, it is. I think part of it is just, picking the right initial success conditions, because you could have a great idea and it could be the kind of thing that could make a big difference in the world if you got the kind of engagement you wanted. But if people don't engage, then that's not going to happen. And so I think, part of that is picking a cause that people care about, that they're invested in. And obviously Alzheimer's disease, something that affects, lots of people, if not directly, then they have family members or friends who are impacted by it. I think, we always look for the win-win. We're very engaged, again, with our community. We, I think from the beginning, we've kind of brought a sense of like, we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out how to make this work. Please help us make this work. Help us make it work for you. Like, is the interface working? Do you like, at one point I think we started out with green outlines, and then some people were having trouble seeing them. And so we said, okay, here are a bunch of different colored outlines we can put around these blood vessels. Everybody vote. And then everybody voted on orange, or that was the most popular one. And we changed it. And we've had, middle school kids give us ideas for new features. We've invited hackers to come and try to hack stall catchers so we could make it, kind of more robust. And then they helped us do that. So it's really been kind of, a project by village, if you will, where I think stall catchers really is the product of the global community. It's something we all created together. And I think if you've got your own citizen science project, invite as many people as you can from as many different places and perspectives as you can to help you co-create it. And I think if it's, if it's of the people, then it'll be for the people.
That's awesome and beautiful. It's like you're the epitome of what citizen science represents too. If it's about the crowd, or it's about the bringing everyone together and letting them have a voice. I love it. I appreciate it too. I did have one other question. I totally lost what it was in my random commentary there. Man, okay. Well, if I think of it, I will let you know.
Yeah.
In the meantime, for any of you who have joined us, we would love for you to sign up for our the SciStarter Live team that we created to represent anyone who's involved here. We'll keep spreading the news about this one too, so we can get more people on there, because I think I might be the only one listed on there, honestly. But I'm going to run through how you can join SciStarter and then how you can contribute to this specific team. So if you're already on SciStarter, there is a direct page on there, a project page that will allow you to connect it to your dashboard. And then on SciStarter, or sorry, not SciStarter, on stall catchers, as long as you use the same email address that you used on your SciStarter account, that means that they'll be linked. So as long as it's on your dashboard and you use the same email, those will connect pretty quickly. You'll be asked to come up with a username and use your email, and then you'll get a password request email sent to you later. So you don't even have to have a password to get started with your first day of volunteering. And once you have an account, you can just go straight to this link, or Pietro is going to show us how to get there without having to know what the link is. You can use this link, or and I'll stop my share if it makes the most sense. Do you want me to share the screen for stall catchers and you can direct me? Would that be helpful?
Either way, or I can just drive directly. What do you prefer?
Sure, yeah, that works. Why don't you do it?
Okay, bear with me.
And thanks Roland for dropping that. If you need those steps again and the link, it's in our chat. Oh, and I accidentally clicked the link, so it's saying yes. Join SciStarter Live. Okay.
Let's see. So we're back to this. Let's see. If anybody's
we hadn't seen it the
interested in
first
it.
time around, so I love this.
Okay, okay, good.
You'll be
Yeah, if
very
anybody wants a
prepared.
desert hat, you know, it's a cool thing to get if you're going to Arizona. Um, okay, so stall catchers. Here, you know, you can get here. So the benefit of going through the SciStarter page is that if you register through SciStarter first, you know, whatever email address you use to register on SciStarter, if you use that same one on stall catchers, then it's kind of linked in a sense. So, because I think SciStarter gives you a dashboard that shows you if you're doing different citizen science projects, it kind of like keeps track of your accomplishments in all your citizen science projects. So that's sort of an advantage of doing the same email address there. And but you can go directly to stallcatchers.com and you can still get this benefit just by joining with the same email address. So we go to join now. And so I'll, let's see, make up a new account here. We'll say HCI SitSci 2023 and put in an email address. Okay.
Do you end up going through, in fact, this is just because I do the same thing and creating more accounts through the Gmail,
Yeah.
do you end up having to go through and like remove them from data sets to show like how many catchers you have? Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fairly easy to do for me because like all my example email addresses start out with the same HC handbook like this. So I can just filter them all out right at once. But yes, we do.
Right.
We want to get accurate numbers.
Yeah,
So
just thinking
I'll
of how
click.
many I have in there as my plus whatever.
Yeah, right.
32 plus. Yeah, I'm like, oh man, this is a lot of unnecessary accounts for you.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's fine. And also, yeah, like for statistics, it helps to kind of filter those out. But in the end, it's like it's mostly about just getting the research done, and it doesn't hurt anything to have those extra accounts in there. So yeah, so I just put in a username and password at stallcatchers.com. And then it says a link was sent to my inbox. So then I can actually, yeah, I guess I didn't actually put in a password. I just put in a username and an email address. So once you get into stall catchers, there's this kind of walk me through tour that takes you around and shows you the different parts of the interface. And I'll let you do that on your own time. But just in the interest of time here, I'm going to click skip the tour, and I'm just going to give you a tour of my own very briefly. So over here, you can see we have leaderboards. You can see the people who are on here today and the points they've gotten today. Some really, familiar names here of people who are spending, hours each day and very serious on here. And then other folks who have joined, and maybe some people for the first time. This area here, we call the virtual microscope. It's not our own term for it. We borrowed it from another citizen science project called Stardust at Home that started in about 2006 that was analyzing data from a NASA mission that brought back dust from the tail of a comet. So that's kind of a cool connection. And just as a point of trivia, the very first prototype of stall catchers was taking Alzheimer's data and putting it on the Stardust at Home platform so we could sort of test out this kind of virtual microscope interface, and it worked really well, so we kept it. So anyway, this is a virtual microscope, and we draw an outline around a blood vessel of interest. And then there's this blue or this green dot down here that you can slide back and forth. And as you slide it back and forth, you're moving forward and backward in time. You're also moving down through layers of brain tissue in this brain scan and then back up. And then you can see at a certain point that there's this kind of white blood vessel, a capillary in a mouse brain that sort of follows the shape of this outline. And that's the vessel we're trying to analyze. And in this case, there's this dark spot here that doesn't go away. So even though you might see something that looks like motion there, which is kind of an after effect of moving up and down through the brain tissue layers, but in reality, there's this spot here that's just not moving, and that's a red blood cell that's stuck inside this capillary. So we would actually call that a stall. So we click stalled down here to indicate that this is a stalled capillary. And then it says click directly on the vessel where it's stalled. So we think it's stalled here. And indeed, and I've done this once before at least, so I kind of knew that was stalled, but we got that one right. And now I'll go on to another example. We'll just do one more. So here I'm gonna, again, we're paying attention to this area inside the outline. We're going back and forth, kind of slowly moving the slider. There's also, you can click the play button if you just want to kind of watch it play over and over again. I kind of like to move it myself. It makes it easier for me. And here you can see that there are these little tiny black dots in the blood vessel that's inside the outline. And as I move the slider back and forth, those dots are kind of moving one direction or the other. They're either flowing downward or upward. And those are the tiny little red blood cells moving through the vessel. So to my eyes, that's a flowing vessel. I click flowing, and that's correct. And then we move on to the next one. That's it. I mean, it's kind of like easy to learn, hard to master. These are some easier examples that are intended to be demonstrative for people who are just learning how to play. As you can see, this one probably also looks very much like a flowing vessel. And then as you progress, you build up points in the game. We keep track of, like, we give you a little stats panel to see your score and your rank. So I've got 46 points so far. And this blue bar here, the more experience you have and the better you get at telling the difference between flowing and stalled makes this blue bar go up. And the bigger that blue bar is, we call it your sensitivity bar, the more points you get for each correct answer. So it's good to kind of like try to have a string of lots of correct answers all in a row. We also have an online chat that everyone can see. It's sort of, so there's no sort of private chat in here, but it's a really friendly and welcoming community, and folks on here can help answer your questions. People with a star next to their name are longtime members of the community and mentors and moderators, and they can help you out. So I'll stop there.
One last thing on there. Did you want to show us how to find the other teams?
Oh yeah, thanks. I had this feeling there was something else. Okay, so here I am on Team Humanity. Everyone starts out on Team Humanity, but I want to be on the side.
Can you share again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Okay, no desert hats this time. So as you can see, I'm on Team Humanity. Everyone starts out on Team Humanity. So I'm going to click Choose Team because I want to switch my team. And over here in the search bar, I'm going to put in, what is the team, SciStarter Live?
Yeah, I think we just put it SciStarter Live. It should show up with SciStarter anyway. I don't think we have.
Aha. Yeah. So I put in SciStarter. We get SciStarter Live here. SciStarter Live webinar attendee special team happy catching, and then we click join. Okay, and that's it. Now if I go back to, I click on catch next to the microscope icon here, and now you can see my team has now switched to SciStarter Live. And so if I go ahead and I'm going to say this is a flowing vessel, and I got 31 points. Now I'm going to go click on the SciStarter Live team link. And I think this is the account I just created for this example. And you can see there's my 31 points now added on to the team. And it gets, so we have a whole team score and some other statistics here. So if we get enough people on this team, then we can actually start to show we're making a dent in the research. So does that answer the mail? Okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's a whole, it's so fun to go through just the team names, honestly, because some people are just so creative with it. Or we have, SciStarter has a partnership with Verizon Wireless to go through social corporate responsibility type activities, and they come up with the funniest names when they do big events involving stall catchers. Like they change their supervisor names into silly like phrases and such, and it always makes me laugh. I'm like, this is This is a true community right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Cool to hear. Yeah, I'm glad people have fun with that. And like I said before, anyone who plays stalk catchers can create a team. So that's an option for anybody.
You can also search your team by code. In this case, 772, just in case it's get confusing.
Would it be in the same place you search by code, or is there a different place for that? Because when I search in the regular spot for that, it wouldn't show up with 772.
That's a good question. I feel like this is something we can test. So let's see, we go to change team, and if we search for 772, so maybe it doesn't work in that through that search mechanism.
Oh, sorry, maybe it's an admin thing.
Yeah, it could be just like through the admin panel.
Sorry.
But no, that's okay. It's actually a good question. But it reminds me that if you go to your team page, let's say you want to say, hey, I see you're on stalk catchers, but I want you to come join my team. You can go to the team page and then click copy this invite link. And then if you share this link, you paste it into an email or a text message. If people click on it, if they've already joined stalk catchers, it'll switch their team to your team. And if they haven't registered yet, then it'll make sure that when they do, that they're on your team. So either way, it can get people onto your team. It is optional. They have a choice. So it doesn't just trick them into it or anything.
You're forced to join my team.
Right. Some
I
people are
guess.
really serious.
Oh yeah, I bet. Considering the amount of time that some people spend on stalk catchers and the top catchers that exist, those are names that I see every time I'm online, right? So the amount of time spent, they're very dedicated. It's amazing what people can accomplish when they have a passion, right?
Yeah.
So we're nearing the end of time. So if there aren't any other questions, or if Maggie or Paz, if you have anything else to share about your work with stalk catchers, or anything we didn't mention that you think is helpful or fun to mention, or any news, I'll give you 3 seconds to chime in if you if you're in that boat. No, we covered everything. Okay, cool.
I'll take the balance of 10 seconds left on those 30 seconds just to express gratitude to my colleagues, because they're despite their reticence in this moment, they're major contributors to all the work we do. And Paz has been instrumental in helping us pilot some new projects and getting communities, from different locales and from different languages involved in that. And Maggie is basically, picking up all the pieces that I'm dropping left and right. And, the fact that I'm here today and I'm talking about the right thing is a testament to Maggie. So anyway, I'm grateful to my colleagues here. I took more than 10 seconds.
No, that's beautiful. I love it. Good reason to spend time, right? Awesome. No other thoughts? And then any of our attendees, if you'd like to ask a question, you're free to. Okay. All right. In that case, I'll go ahead and close this out then. I'm going to bring us back to our previous slide deck, just so I can show you some upcoming events. Do y'all have any upcoming events happening for stalk catchers related things, or is the catchathon the breath of fresh air for a second? We're moving on.
I think
the breath of fresh air.
We're taking a breath. Also, we'll be seeing you at the conference.
Yes,
and
that's awesome.
And we are thinking about doing something relatively soon, maybe in the next couple months, that's geared more towards students. So we'll keep you posted on that. Excellent.
Love it. All right, so just to give you a quick heads up about the next weeks, and I'll explain a couple things about the following week. So May 9th is close enough to Mother's Day where we're thinking we'll bring in some some moms, any moms that you have in your life that you'd like to invite to that event. We'll be talking through a SciStarter project or affiliate that is of interest specifically to my mother, because I've dragged her along to be a part of that event. So you'll meet my mom. So if you join us then, that'll be fun. And then the following week, so May 16th, I believe is what it is. That's the week before the Citizen Science Association conference out here in Tempe that Pietro was referring to. So just as a heads up that there likely will not be a live event for reasons of planning for that big event, because all of our team will be out here. So big things happening there. And then we may see you back the following week during the actual conference for a live version from within the conference. So stay tuned on details for that if you anticipate coming back to one of these events. So, and you can always check on our blog for the most up-to-date information that's been confirmed. It says 2022 because we've been here since August, so very exciting. But we're coming up on, we're almost to a year. That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so the last thing is that we have a ton of resources that I share every time. SciStarter is meant to be the assister of your work as a citizen scientist. So if you ever are at a loss, you can always look into the resources we have. So you can always contact us at the email info@scistarter.org. You can ask project leaders messages from their project page. There's a message project button. You can ask the community by leaving a review. You can listen to our podcast. You can come into our webinars again, like this one. You can take trainings, which I mentioned at the start, and then we have a project finder, so you can always find another project based on something you're interested in. So if you ever get stuck, we are happy to assist. And then this is just a quick reminder that we do have surveys that assist with helping us run these programs. So if you would like to fill that out, that would be awesome for us to figure out how to make this program even better. And a reminder to bring yourself and your mom or moms or family or anyone who's a mom to the SciStarter Live for next week. We'll be looking for some participation too. So it'll be fun to have some on-demand questions where you can answer about what your preferred projects are. So we look forward to that. I'm going to end my screen share and end our feed to Facebook and all that, assuming we are all set. Any questions before I close this out and welcome you to a fabulous day? Okay. I definitely don't wait long enough for that, so I'll just yammer. Oh, thanks, Trevor. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Emma. I really appreciate you organizing this and for your tech on this, Roland. So nice to see you both, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Actually, since you guys are gonna, I'll end the call first. Bye everyone. I'm gonna end our live stream and our recording so that we can be sent away. Where'd it go? There we go.